Do the Warriors need Draymond Green? Do the Warriors want Draymond Green? There are so many questions around this situation and very little answers at this point. But yesterday, before the Magic game, Steve Kerr was asked about the Draymond situation, and the headlining quote was, "We've been giving him his space. He's been giving us ours." And he proceeded to say that Draymond hasn't been in the facility. Now, Draymond, when this suspension was first handed down, they said it's not the right thing to send him away, right? He has to be around us. And so they had made it sound initially like, oh, he was going to practice, he was going to be in the facility, he just wasn't going to be at the games and playing. And so I think that this kind of startled the fan base to hear that Draymond hasn't been anywhere around the team. When the suspension happened initially, what did the Warriors run off? Like 4 or 5 wins in a row, right? And everybody started looking around like, hey, man, maybe we don't need this guy. Maybe it's for the best. And then they lose to Denver, they lose to Miami, Dallas, right? And it's like, oh, hold on a second, right? And so I propose to you, do the Warriors need Draymond Green? Now, that is not the same as asking, do you want the Warriors to keep Draymond Green? Because those can be separate answers, right? Depending on your head and your heart and just being split with that. But the truth of the matter is, as my guy Major Powers put it, Draymond is the straw that stirs the drink. We can talk about X's and O's and his connectivity with Steph, his communication. There's a lot that he brings to the table on the court as well. There's some limitations and there's some things that make us less dynamic when he's out there because of his limitations. It's a give and take with all players, some more than others. But beyond the X's and O's, I think Draymond is the checks and balances on this roster, or at least he had been, right? And you ask yourself, well, what is Draymond's greatest trait as a basketball player? What is his elite superpower? It's his competitive spirit, right? It's his competitive spirit. So when I say that we need him for his competitive spirit, I'm not trying to put down Steph and Clay's. Listen, you don't become NBA Hall of Famers without having a strong competitive spirit. But Draymond's is just at another level, right? And in turn, it also has kind of become his weakness, right? And that's what's gotten him in trouble a lot of the times. But Draymond's competitive spirit, the baseline of it is so high night to night. It's consistent, right? Like peak Steph competitive spirit, it's unmatched, right? These guys that are superstars, but on a night-to-night basis, it's not as high as Draymond's. And Draymond raises the team's competitive spirit on a Wednesday night against an underman Heat team or a Mavericks team, right? And then you're starting to see what he brings to the table, I think, besides the X's and O's. Now it's been masked and it's been clouded by his inability to be available. It's 2024. It's here, right? And I know you have New Year's resolutions. Let me guess one of them. Eat healthier and get in better shape. How'd I guess? Well, because I think we all have that resolution every year. And that's where I think Factor can really help you guys. It's fresh, never frozen food delivered directly to your doorstep, all dietitian approved. They've got something for everyone with over 35 different meals to choose from each week. And then there are these on-the-go things. They just sent me these wellness shots. They've got smoothies, cold-pressed juices, and it's really all about creating the habit, the ritual of eating healthy, right? And you don't want to get caught slipping. And this is where Factor helps not only with convenience, but your pockets. I got caught slipping last week at a basketball tournament, had to grab some fast food. I haven't done it in a while. $14 for a number 4. And as quickly as it came in, it left me even quicker, if you catch my drift. And so Factor, again, it can help you create these habits all conveniently and affordably. So head over to factor75.com or click the link in the description and use the code Alchemy50 for 50% off your first box at Factor. And if you followed the channel long enough, it was kind of a running joke, like how many different ways can Alk find to trade Draymond? I've been doing it since since the KD incident, right? But like a family member, you may not like them, but you love them. You understand that they're a part of the family, right? It's like I've come to the conclusion, I think Draymond is a necessary evil the way that this team is currently built. That said, you're going to stay away from the team. Do what you got to do to get right. You better not come back out of shape, Draymond. You show up off this suspension out of shape, to use another straw analogy, that may be the straw that broke the camel's back. Like that's inexcusable. And I know some of you are going to say other stuff has been. I'm just saying, like, okay, you don't want to be in the facility. You're going to do your thing. Do your thing. Go party with Braun. Show up in shape. I think both parties understand they need each other, right? And so let's not overreact to that news. As long as he shows up in shape, I think that Draymond is a part of this, so long as Steph, Steve, and Clay are a part of this. Let's talk about Mr. Thompson. Really good performance from Clay last night. Really good performance, man. And I just loved seeing him get his cup filled by playing defense, right? And what I mean by that is like his ego, his glory. He got some glory guarding the other team's best player, something we used to see so often years ago, right? And it was a unique matchup, right? How many, power forwards, centers, point center forwards are there in the league for him to be on? But he did a great job. He had live feet. And what I mean by that is his feet never stopped moving. It's almost like when you're teaching a running back to carry the ball, you keep your feet churning, right? And as a defender, especially as you age and there's a quickness deficit, how you make up for that, not just with angles, knowing the personnel, but keeping your feet moving, keeping the energy in your feet. And I saw him doing that last night, getting back in transition. And sure enough, it comes to light after the game that he and Kerr finally kind of had a heart-to-heart. And I think the interesting part of that was be a better mentor in this last chapter. Acknowledging it's not here forever. You don't want to you're going to look back at this time period and regret it if you keep with the bad vibes and negative energy. And hey, it's one game at a time, but last night against Orlando, I think he embraced that. You saw him be patient with his shot selection. Ironically, he made tough ones, right? But he didn't take a bunch of tough ones. He was more selective. He moved the ball, and again, on the defensive end, find some juice there, find some pride there, and accept this is the last chapter, as it is for all three of them. And that's kind of part of it, right? I alluded to it last video. Time is ticking, and it speeds you. It gets you out of pocket at time when you're feeling like time is running out. But all I can do is applaud Clay for last night's performance and hope that he can build on it. It seems like perhaps there was an aha moment with he and Kerr, and so that's super encouraging. Let's talk about Jonathan Kuminga, and back to the Draymond thing, because you know how I feel. I think we need Draymond. I think we need him. I think he brings too much. I think he's too important to how this is built. However, when he does come back in shape, they've got to find a way to keep Jonathan Kuminga in the starting lineup. They've got to find a way to keep Jonathan Kuminga in the starting lineup. And you're just seeing him, man. Like you saw early on, he and Trace botched a switch. He tried to slide under and Wagner hit the three. Then a couple minutes later, he went down to the post and then he got out and challenged Wagner's three. And it's just these little nuanced things that you can see Kuminga learn and grow in real time. And that's so important when you're trying to chart the trajectory of a young, talented player like that. He had 19, 6, and 4 last night. He looked like Scottie Pippen out there. He looked like Sean Marion. All right, I'm getting a little carried away here, but you get my drift. A little of this, a little of that, all within the confines of the offense. And I understand, hey, the last dance and all that. You cannot disrupt what Kuminga is building on just to throw Draymond and Looney back in the starting lineup and get back to doing what y'all did, because there's a time limit on everything, and what y'all did wasn't working. I think we have big enough sample size of that. And so, yeah, just encouraging not only Clay, but Kuminga, right? Trace is, again, it's not hate, it's constructive criticism. Yeah, I look at things like a coach. Like, that's just how I am. I'm a father of 3. I coached basketball for a long time. I have a coach's lens when I see things. And so I'm not trying to throw hate, but Trace, and he contributed to the win last night. Did you see him try to baptize Goga? GP already damn near ended his life. And then, but so there's some positive things, no doubt about it. What you're seeing, though, is he hunts blocks. And I saw it at the tape in Indiana, and it's something that JaVale had. There's a give and take with it, right? Jaren Jackson Jr. is probably the best example of it, reigning defensive player of the year. What do you average? 3 or 4 blocks a game. And then you go, oh, he only averages 6 rebounds? right? That goes hand in hand. If you're chasing blocks, it's going to pull you out of position for defensive rebounds. And you saw that a couple times with Trace last night. And I think he's gonna have to figure out when to come over from the weak side. And if the on ball defender is still there, get in rebound position, right? It's a balancing act. But all in all, give him time to figure it out. I'm excited. I think he should remain in the starting lineup. And you've seen Loon, I think, show a little more pride coming off the bench. A stirrup looks like it's been healthy for everyone. The GP2 news. I think I'm going to do a separate video on that and maybe talk more about this Moses Moody situation. So I'll cover that at another time. I guess it wouldn't be right if I didn't mention the chef. 36 points, 12 of 20 shooting, degree of difficulty on 10. On 10 against a very good defender in Jalen Suggs, a very good defensive team. And so this is what makes things difficult, right? You just heard me the other day say, hey, I think Steph's playing too much hero ball. But then you see a performance like that and you're like, well, is it hero ball when he's capable of those performances? So as exciting and as impressive as Steph's performance was, I think we have to acknowledge like he made some really tough shots, but I guess that's Steph Curry. I get it. The lines are blurred. I think more importantly, down the stretch, it was the defensive stops that got it done. It was the defensive stops that got it done. As for this Orlando team, they're an intriguing team and they're uniquely built, right? Where the majority of their talent is in the front court with Franz and Paolo. This Kuminga Franz thing, it's not a done deal yet, right? I think JK let you know last night, like, whoa. We got a ways to go here before you write that book, right? But just Orlando, I guess my question about them is I didn't love the way that Paolo was operating down the stretch. I don't watch them enough to say that's what they do every night. Did they get baited into that because Clay was on him? And as talented as Paolo is, I don't know if he should be operating like Jason Tatum on the ball and it was too perimeter oriented for my taste. And I think the question that they have to figure out is how good of a guard do you have to pair with him or acquire to take him off the ball down the stretch? Because I think, they're going to make the playoffs, but I think they're going to see a lot of zone. And I think they're going to run into a lot of issues trying to operate that way when it's really go time. Got a rematch with the defending champion Nuggets at Chase Center, and then the return of James Wiseman. The return of James Wiseman. As always, hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.